Ladies and gents, welcome back to another Engineers podcast. Today I'm joined by Maxim Logvinenko, who's Director of Engineering at Coinmetrics. We're back into the depths of blockchain again, and Coinmetrics are building crypto intelligence for the future of finance. We're going to be talking about what is blockchain and differences between blockchains that impact CM. Coinmetrics. We're going to be talking about reliability and data quality and why that's really important for CM. And we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the engineering challenges and the engineering culture inside of CM. Maxim, thanks for coming to join us.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. We always like our directors, our leadership to come and tell us a little bit about them, their background. So take it away. Who's Maxim?
So, you already gave me some introduction. My name is Maxim. Actually, my background, mostly throughout my career, I was focusing on data processing of different kind of data, geolocations, ads, just building data analytics systems, and whatnot, messaging. And before joining Coinmetrics, I was a platform lead at WhatsApp, working on the on-premises WhatsApp API, and joined Coinmetrics in January 2022, so almost 2 years. Soon I will be kind of marking the 2 years time at Coinmetrics. I joined as a director of engineering in network data, and we will talk today about what is network data and what are the differences from other parts of the business. Basically, here I'm focusing on delivery, processes, strategy, and technology evolution for the network data area, and aiming to solve its unique challenges, which we'll, I think, also touch during this podcast. In my team, I have the different folks like backend engineers, protocol specialists, product managers, data quality engineers, and we are working together.
I'm really looking forward to today. We've spoken offline for the last couple of months about your team, some of the challenges, how Coinmetrics is really made up, and I want to take the light away from that just for a sec. Obviously, this is fully focused on CM, but let's talk a little bit about that experience at WhatsApp. I just want to understand like that size and scale. That's probably given you a really good experience to come into a leadership role, building high data quality, resilient products. Talk to me about that experience, what you learn, and going into that director of engineering role.
Oh yeah. First of all, of course, Meta and like WhatsApp, Meta in general, it's a huge company, and I learned a lot about how such companies can operate. Right? Before even joining Meta, I was surprised that they are moving forward, still having like 90,000 people working there or something like that, and was surprised that they're moving actually quite fast. And at WhatsApp, we actually were, I was focusing on very specific things. It's like WhatsApp for business and specifically on premises API. So WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted messenger, right? So to send something or receive something on both ends, you have to have some kind of client. And basically we were developing this client. And probably most of the challenges we had there in that team, they are, probably not around the data per se, but more like how you support the product with a very small team, but the product which is used by tens of thousands of businesses around the world. That was quite a unique challenge, I would say, and all of that kind of communication, how to find your way in a huge corporation. You need to find someone to help you with your problem. So how you figure out who to talk to, even. And on top of that, obviously the technical challenges, again, like how you make this client robust, because business is relying on that every single day to send millions of messages across the globe.
different business, different scale in many different ways, whether it be product, whether it be size of the business. And it seems like you learn a fair bit. Smart people around you, smart people at Coin Metrics, which is going back to shining that light on them. Give us the elevator pitch, as I like to say, to Coin Metrics. Who are Coin Metrics? What are you building?
Yeah, so probably I will start a little bit with the history of Coinmetrics, just a little bit. The company was founded in 2017, so we are technically not very new company. And it started actually as a network data provider. Again, like network data comes up here in this podcast and will come up multiple times. But then later, the focus shifted more to the market data because that's where a lot of our clients, they understand this data and how to work with it. But after some time, leadership leadership believes in the network data and building the products using the unique data which blockchains give us. And so we have multiple very known investors who invested in the Coinmetrics. A few names like Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, Castle Island Ventures, BlockFi, which probably a lot of our listeners heard. And what is CM business? Now it's time to talk a little bit about this market data and network data. So if we look roughly at the kind of business of the Coinmetrics, we can split it into different big parts. One being market data and another one network data. Market data is where we get the data from the central exchanges. Again, maybe our listeners heard about Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, and other centralized exchanges. So basically, we pull historical and provide historical and real-time data for them. And it's actually not just three, which I mentioned, but we support over 30 world-leading spot and derivative crypto exchanges. And we basically cover all key market-related data types for that. Tick-by-tick trades, quotes, order books, snapshots, candles, and many, many more. So this is kind of market data. And this is very clear for a lot of our clients. And a lot of our clients, they're TradFi companies, right? Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, and so on. They understand what does it mean, because you replace Bitcoin or Ethereum with anything like gold and you get kind of the same meaning of all of that data. And here we are coming slowly to network data, which is, I will be biased for network data because that's where I spent last 2 years of my life. But basically, this is where we get the data from the chains themselves and build variety of products using this on-chain data. And as I mentioned before, our leadership truly believes in the power of that and the unique value of the network data for the market and the research.
Okay. Network data, this is your area. Talk to us about the products that you're building on chain.
Yep. So probably first and the most obvious one are metrics, right? So where we take the data and we compute different kind of metrics for crypto assets, and we support a few hundreds of them, and they can be very simple, like number of transactions which happened on the chain, or number of blocks which were created, or number of accounts which like newly created or active accounts. It's a few hundreds of them going all the way to like volatility metrics or some very chain specific metrics, for example, for Ethereum consensus layer, or for staking rewards, and so on and so forth. So it goes all the way deep into the woods, I would say. And unique value of the metrics, we'll probably touch a little bit during the podcast, but a lot of blockchains, they have different structure, different data models, even they work a little bit differently under the hood. And what metrics are doing, and actually what a lot of all of our products, I would say, doing, they're removing this complexity for our clients. And so if we support the same metric for different chains, you can be sure that the same methodology was applied to compute this, and you can compare apples to apples, and you can work with these metrics and look at the chains holistically, I would say. This one is probably the main one and most obvious. We also have the blockchain explorer, the Atlas, and probably a lot of folks who touched blockchains, they had some experience, let's say, with Etherscan, some exporters. Our exporters is kind of similar, but also different in that sense, because it's mostly aiming at the audit use case, and it provides the search capabilities for blocks, transactions, accounts in the uniform way as well. Again, like removing the differences between different chains, and in very useful for audit double entry bookkeeping format, right? So you basically can be sure that we capture all of the transactions, and in this like very convenient to process um, fashion. We also have DeFi, which is the data for decentralized exchanges, right? So we talked a little bit about centralized exchanges, but it's kind of the unique thing of the blockchains when you have the decentralized exchange where you don't have a central entity which operates this exchange. Also tagging metadata, which is one of my actually favorite and very interesting idea, that you can assign real world entity names or functions to the entities on the chain. Because by default, the chain is anonymous, or I would say pseudo-anonymous, and you know nothing about who is that entity which operates on the chain. But using some knowledge, some heuristics or deterministic algorithms, we can say, okay, this is the custodian, or this is the miner, or this is the exchange, and so on and so forth, and assign basically these like real world functions to the entities on the chain. And then you can use this actually to for your research, for example, or for analyzing what is happening actually on the chain, because everything is transparent. And we have a few others like transaction trackers for mining pool data, reorg tracking, risk indicators, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I can continue for a long
No, I
time
bet.
talking about that.
No, I bet. The thing that I loved in there is you hide all this complexity from users of the different products. The different products have different data models, different structures. To use your phrase, going deep into the woods and under the hood, it would be good to understand for users listening, or for the general population listening, what are some of the engineering challenges that you're finding on a day to day basis as engineers, different teams and squads within network data and the associated products?
Yeah, I we definitely have a few of them, and to be honest, most of them are not so blockchain specific. We have obviously some blockchain specific challenges, but a lot of them are quite common for any data processing business, I would say. And to answer that, what are the challenges? I probably have to talk about what are our strengths a little bit, right? And I would say, first of all, we are paying a lot of attention to the data quality. Um, for example, I mentioned this like blockchain explorer and how it works. So under the hood, it has a lot of internal guardrails and checks, and it halts the processing if it finds some mismatches in the data. And we actually, I'm not going to say any specific names of the chains, but we found a few bugs in the chains themselves, reported that to the foundation, because that's how deep we are diving into the data. And on top of that, we have a lot of other checks, which I probably will talk later. This is one. Second one is the reliability, right? Because a lot of our clients rely on our data to make some decisions. We have to be very reliable, and we have to provide all of that historical data with a low latency. So these are our kind of biggest strengths, and from these strengths we can kind of deduct the challenges, right? Basically, how we basically provide reliably and with a low latency the data with a high quality, given that we have so much data to process. and we have hundreds of terabytes of data which we process internally for that. And this is actually true for probably any kind of data processing business, right? Just data will be different. What is the blockchain specific difference is, as I mentioned before, there are multiple different chains with a different architecture, with a different data structure, with a different data model. So just understanding how that blockchain operates and map it on the products we have, it's a big challenge. And if we combine that with the engineering challenges I just talked a little bit before, that means to be really productive in network data team and to work at the full capacity, you have to be able to get the best from both worlds. You have to be kind of a blockchain expert and understand how blockchains themselves operate. And also you have to be a very good engineer to build the reliable production systems.
I was going to ask, what's your best bit of advice, almost like your pro tip for ensuring reliability and high data quality in blockchains? They, to me, seem complex. It seems as if you guys have got your stuff together. What do you think your best bit of advice to someone would be around those two parts, ensuring that reliability and data quality in blockchains?
This is a very good question. I would say reliability, to me, it's kind of endless topic, right? So you can go all the way down to like from starting from the service reliability to the data center reliability and so on and so forth. Probably the first piece of advice, make a decision what is good enough reliability for you, right? Where you want to stop, right? Because you can, as I said, like continue almost endlessly and protect yourself from anything failing. For example, I know you are using Cloudflare as the kind of load balancing tool. You can go ahead and protect from Cloudflare being down, but if Cloudflare is down, probably the world has some big issues at the moment, because I'm not sure how many percentage of the internet traffic they're powering. So probably the biggest piece of advice here would be find what is good enough for you, for your business, for the size of your engineering organization, because every next level of reliability, it requires quite a lot of effort, quite a lot of money, engineering resources, and time.
Okay, interesting. Um, I can totally imagine. And I really like that point, as in what's good enough, because you can continue to push that bar. It's never ending, but you need to make a trade off between those couple of things: time, money, on where else to focus your efforts, and focusing efforts elsewhere. Talk to us a little bit around high quality data and why it's important for Coin Metrics. It's one of your strengths. Why is this so important?
Yeah, this mainly because our customers rely on our data, and we have very, um, I would say, peculiar clients who can find problems in data very easily, right? So because they are using this data to either make a decision or to calculate some um, crypto indices, for example. They rely on the completeness and correctness of the data, or they're doing audit for the companies, right? And for audit, I'm not audit expert, but probably you either have monetary penalty or even some more serious, up to the prosecution for making something incorrect in your reports. Right? That's why having the full and correct data is so important for clients. But on top of that, there are a few internal challenges which data quality, yes, helps a little bit. We touched about the reliability. We are actually using multi-data center setup, which are actually independent from each other. And if our metrics are deterministic and idempotent and calculated correctly, we don't need to think much about why we have different values in different data centers, which are computed independently, because all of the inputs are effectively mutable, and it makes our life actually much easier. Yes, we invest more in the quality and making sure that our logic is written in a correct form, but we then do not spend a lot of time, figuring out why we were having different data in different places, because that can take a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Is that why you're keeping the data across multiple data centers and different environments?
So why we have that architecture of multiple data centers, right? So again, like, because this is exactly where we kind of made the decision for our business and for our clients, where we need to keep the level of reliability. And to be honest, it's also in a lot of cases a requirement from businesses, from TradFi businesses specifically, that you have at least two environments, independent environments, for them to consume the data. They are internal policies for these companies. So, and that's why we have multi-DC, and we have automatic data center failover if something goes wrong, where we switch dynamically traffic from one to another if absolute disaster happens. But we also have a lot of investments in the tech stack within single data center. So it's quite hard to bring even single data center down, or to be honest, I don't really remember us switching traffic between data centers because of the disaster, right? So it is here in case if it happens, but most of the time the reliability within single data center is enough to support our clients.
I think it would be really good to touch on tech stack and maybe some of the decisions in regards to why you chose your tech stack. So, can you paint us a picture of what that tech stack actually looks like? Some key components and the decisions behind choosing that tech stack and why they're important for coin metrics.
Yeah, this is also a very good question, and I will in some cases make some guesses why this decision was made, because I was not here
Yeah.
when these decisions were made. In some cases, I can tell you why these decisions were made. First of all, let's start from the overall setup. We are using on-premises setup, so we are not relying on clouds heavily for serving production data. We have geographically distributed data centers where we actually lease or buy machines. We put them in a data center and we run our Kubernetes clusters on top of that. So I already spoiled that we are using Kubernetes as the orchestration for our clusters, which is amazing technology. To be honest, cannot imagine how we were doing without it before. We are using Docker for containerization, and so far I would say these are probably quite obvious choices in terms of Kubernetes Docker. In terms of languages, we are primary Python and Kotlin company, and in network data, I would say majority is Kotlin, and Python is used a little bit and more in other parts of the company. Databases, Postgres. This is our kind of main storage, which we are using, and historically we have been using Postgres. And in my life, I never saw such a big setup of Postgres, to be honest, which is our strength. I would say a lot of experience running this and making it reliable and a low latency for clients, given the amount of data again. And then in terms of other storage technologies, we are using S3-like object storages, and we are expanding this usage more and more every day. And for that, I can actually tell why this choice was made, because to touch a little bit, to move a little bit to the side, just to give you a scale, Bitcoin, the oldest chain, it generated in the last 15 years something around 600, 700 gigabytes of data. Not a lot, but not a small amount, but not a lot as well. But a lot of more modern chains, and I can give an example of Solana. Solana generates 90 terabytes a year, right? So we are talking about 600 gigabytes in 15 years compared to 90 terabytes within single year. And they can actually go faster. This is the current data generation speed. So all of these new chains which appears, they create the new challenge, how you store the data, how you process this data, which is really hard to fit in something like relational databases. And this is why we're exploring more and more and using more and more the object storages, which are much better suited for that kind of data. We're using Kafka as a streaming engine. Again, quite default choice, I would say, in data processing area. And we're exploring and adopting more and more best-in-class technologies like Airflow, Spark, and other technologies for distributed compute. Again, like nothing. It's actually one of my inner beliefs. I participate in building a few databases in my life, and I don't want to build another one unless I see a really good use for that. And that's why we're trying to use off-the-shelf technologies as much as possible.
Smart. Bit of a bold question. Would you change anything about your tech stack, and why?
We do. We actually do change. We constantly technology. I would say this is the area where you have to change to at least be at the same place where you have been before, right? And with a growing business, with a growing amount of data, you must change. It's not like if you want to change. If you want to still be in business, if you want to still be able to support your clients, you must change. And that's probably, I would say, our biggest shift over the years. Company started from Docker Swarm. I'm not sure if like anyone is using this in production because it's actually deprecated technology. We transitioned over the years to Kubernetes. That was one of the things we did. And now I would say we already started it and we are continuing this shift from relational storages to these like object storages, data lake house solutions, which much better support the distributed compute. This is basically what we are changing.
Interesting. How do you actually approach that change? Do you look at the problem set, and do you look at maybe current technology and other technologies on the market, and you almost proof of concept the change? Do you trade out the change, maybe even on a whiteboard? How does that change actually work and evolve?
This is a very good question, because if I would be starting something from scratch, let's say we have nothing and we are starting from ground zero, that would be obviously a very different approach because you just start building. In case of Coin Metrics, we already have kind of 6-7 years of history and technology already written. And obviously, I cannot get to the leadership and say, like, please do not touch us for the next couple of years or a year, and we will be building something fancy new, which will be amazing, right? So we have to find that kind of evolution approach, how we transform what we have today in very clear for business steps and explain these steps to them. But at the same time, we must have this like strategy vision where we want to get in the end of the day. So I started here at understanding, first of all, where we want to get. Right? So I can try to tried to paint a picture for myself and then for the engineering team and the business, where we want to get and why we need to get there. This is very important, because if you just explain, yeah, it will be very fancy technology stuff, and it will be new shiny technologies, it's not gonna fly with the business well. So you have to explain what are the benefits business will get from that, what are the pain points you're going to solve with that. And after I found this kind of vision, then I started to think, okay, what are the steps? How I get to this vision? Given that we have a lot of legacy, a lot of um, basically code written and data already in some other formats. And for that, obviously, I'm starting from the most painful parts. And so we have a few um, areas which creates a lot of either maintenance or slows us down significantly. And this is where I'm starting. I'm saying, okay, we will start from that. We will improve this in the next, let's say, few months. And then, of course, the most important part, you have to deliver on this, on your promises.
Interesting. Tell us a little bit about the future, because you were touching on it there, where you almost help paint pictures on where you want to get to, from a technology perspective, and how you will get there and why it's beneficial. I really want to try and understand, where are coin metrics going? Maybe in the market or the space. It'd be great to understand that.
So I would say for the product, the most important focus would be expand our coverage, right? And this actually dictates our priorities for the engineering, right? So how we move fast, how we onboard new networks, new exchanges, new whatever like we need to faster, how we implement it faster, how we spend less time computing the data or figuring out how we onboard the new chain. Of course, we have to keep our promises. This is always here. So we have to stay reliable. We have to keep the high data quality. This is never ending process. And we always have to keep this in mind. So in other focuses, it's more like for engineering and for myself personally, I want to expand internal data processing platform to accommodate these like gigantic new blockchains, and also make it easier for even internal clients to work and consume this data, because we have research data science teams which actually doing amazing researches. You can go to our website and read a few very interesting weekly state of network, state of the market papers. So how we support them, how we provide access to the data that they can do more effectively the job. And last but not least, how we make it easier for engineers to work. I mentioned before that to be fully productive and kind of be able to do everything end to end, you have to get the best from both blockchain and engineering world. So how we reduce this, how we play with this kind of threshold, how we make it easier to develop products using the data we have.
That's an interesting problem. Where are some of today's challenges, both team and personal? And I think you've touched on a couple of those. And where are anticipated challenges, maybe that you're thinking about in the next 12 months? You've spoken about expand. Where are you maybe putting your brain in end of 2025 and thinking that could be a potential challenge? So challenges today, team and personal, challenges in 12 months, team and personal.
As a matter of joke, I'm afraid that Solana will increase their throughput, which they can technically, and that will be even harder to maintain
Yeah.
than today. But it's actually partially just a joke. Solana is not the only one blockchain which is high throughput, low latency blockchain. There are more and more of them. So this is kind of the personal and company, I would say, challenge. how how do we prepare for that? How we what should we do today to be ready for such blockchains to take off and be able to continue providing good quality, reliable data to our clients. And we never delete the data, right? So our data set is always growing. This is kind of another related to this challenge, how we make sure that we continue to operate and support our clients, given that our our data set will continue to grow inevitably. It's only going to increase over time. And probably another thing is related to kind of team people management, right? So this is also never-ending process, but how do I define the processes again, like at a good enough level, not creating a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of complexity, but still putting the kind of this minimal level of needed processes in place, which are easy to follow and which achieve what they were designed for. This is, yeah, still yet and will be the challenge, I would say, for me.
Yeah, interesting. I think I take some insights from that, as in expanding, gaining market share, but having your non-negotiables on technology and standards and going back to reliability and data quality, but also building scalable processes to grow the business, as in engineering business as well, which I think is a really good place to now touch on. Talk to us about the growth that you're expecting, what you might be looking to hire in engineering in engineering culture, and talk to us a little bit about your engineering team and the culture that you've already built. So, hiring engineers and the engineering culture.
Yeah, so let me probably start from the culture because hiring plans we are moving very careful right now. So we are hiring very specific roles here and there. We are not hiring a lot at the moment. But starting from the culture. So first of all, what we are looking for in engineers is have passion for what you are doing, right? So it's you have to like the engineering and data processing and get the satisfaction probably from your work. This is quite important, I would say. Attention to details. Again, like this is historically and the nature of the business. This is very important, given the all of the requirements we spoke about before. Deep technical and blockchain expertise. Again, we touched that multiple times today. Um, and to be honest, everyone I work with at Coinmetrics is a definition of professional in the area, our expertise. I'm learning every day from folks around myself. Um, Ownership. This is something what I put quite high in my personal rank of what I'm looking at in engineers. And I coined it recently in a very simple phrase: own the solution, not a task. That kind of what ownership means for me. Collaboration. We are a fully remote company. You have to be able to effectively communicate and collaborate with people around you, given that it's kind of remote setup adds its complication to that. And have fun as well. We, even though we are not a very big company, we have quite a lot of different challenges, game nights. We created our fantasy Premier League and competing among each other. So this is probably how I would characterize the um, the culture at Coinmetrics and what we are looking for in terms of the engineers. Now, which specializations? I would say data engineering direction is quite important and will be important for us. And obviously, the blockchain specialists. Blockchain is relatively young area, I would say, and quite like quickly evolving. And finding someone who already has quite a deep industry experience is a challenge.
I'm glad you said that last bit. Blockchain is relatively young. It's rapidly evolving. We're seeing the rise in how many organizations we're speaking to, both from a staffing perspective and a podcasting perspective. So I'm learning more as I go along. From a culture perspective, I always think it's refreshing, the ownership part, communication, collaboration. Companies really do want to index on that, especially when they're remote. It's massively important. But the attention to detail and really being able to invest in understanding data at a very granular level makes a lot of sense to the blockchain connotations that we've been drawing over the last 40 minutes. So if you're a smart person who's very, very interested in blockchain, who's got a background in blockchain, or you've been involved in the data engineering space and interested in blockchain, or maybe even worked in blockchain, you should be talking to Maxim. I've loved the last 40 minutes, give or take, learning a little bit more about you, Coin Metrics. Thanks so much for coming to talk to us about what you guys and girls are building, and fingers crossed for the next 12 months, more market share, expand, and continue building out a really solid team and doing good stuff for your customers.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it was a pleasure and really nice experience for me. I'm not the often guest at podcasts, unfortunately. And yeah, I think you can expect some news from Coinmetrics in the next months in terms of the coverage expansion or changes in terms of how we operate and what do we do and how we do it. And I'm always available also on social networks. If someone from our listeners want to ask some follow-up questions, I would be more than happy to answer them or talk about them and listen what they opinion about this. I'm really open for that kind of discussions. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. You've heard it. Maxim's DMs are open. Drop them a message. They've got some exciting news to come late 2024, early 2025. So keep them on your radar. For everyone listening, likes, shares, subscribes, and all of that good stuff keeps us ticking around and to put some spotlight on the guys and girls at Coin Metrics. So again, massive thanks and bye for now.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode. Massively appreciate you listening and checking in with us. If you want to find out more about us and what we're doing, please check us out on social media. What we're trying to do at Engineers is build a community to drive knowledge sharing and experiences. On Twitter, we can be found Engineers.io. It's no_. We've also got a website which is engineers.io. These links will all be posted in the description. Any feedback and comments are massively appreciated. We're always looking to improve on where we can. Thanks, guys.